Hello everyone, and welcome to my Young and the Restless official 24 channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Power plays, lies, and passion. Must-watch soap drama from August 11th to 15th. Daytime drama is poised to light up the screen with its dramatic revelations and jaw-dropping mysteries. Drama during the day is exploding. August 11th to 15th. Secrets will be brought to light, alliances will be shattered, and truths will be revealed. There is chaos here, and nobody is escaping unharmed. Past the gates. When Nicole makes a startling decision that changes her future, Ted becomes agitated. He's confused and unsure of what to do next because of her this week. Is Nicole overreacting? Will she do something that they will both regret? For Eva, enough is enough. She's having enough of her mother, and she's not going to keep quiet. The queen of scheme, Leslie, has had enough of her daughter. She has picked up the pieces, co-signed her terrible behavior, and covered for her. She is at her breaking point. Anticipate a major but between these two. Has Brooke really chosen her fate, even though Bold and the Beautiful Ridge may have? When Nick takes out that large, gleaming rock and gives Brooke everything she could ever want, everything may alter in an instant. Is it time to finally burn the bridge for good? Or will she regret repeating history? Just wait till Dollar Bill approaches Grace if she feels that dealing with Liam's and Hope's anger was unpleasant. He's going to lose it and go completely crazy. Grace will likely regret being born in addition to regretting what she did. Our lives days. You won't believe which foes are arguing this week. Gwen and EJ. Yes, EJ turns to face Gwen and gives her a delicious tidbit. It remains to be seen why he has chosen to confide in Gwen of all people, but watch those scenes closely because people will be amazed. In the meantime, her parents are extremely concerned about Rachel's erratic behavior. She remains sardonic, unruly, and unhinged. What else would one anticipate from the daughter of Kristen? That tree is definitely not far from where the apple is falling. Brady and Kristen must finally get a handle on this youngster. Hospital General. Britt is feeling the heat at the 5 Poppies, where boots are on the ground. She is thought to be dead and has remained totally unknown up until now. She is now in trouble once that secret is revealed. A lot of problems. Even more difficulties than previously. Back in Port Charles, Trina receives some wise counsel from Stella. Thanks to Kai, she has witnessed her journey from heartbreak to recovery, and Stella doesn't want her to lose steam. She exhorts Trina to embrace every possibility and stand up for the young man. Chelsea takes great satisfaction in being a helpful friend, particularly when that person is an ex. She is always there for Adam while they weren't together, she was always there for Nick, and now she is there for Billy. That is fantastic, isn't it? Not if you're Adam, anyway. He attacks her for siding with his adversary and practically orders her to sever her relationship with Billy. Keep an eye out for Danny and Christine as they return to town. Christine is eager to meet Lauren, while Danny's primary destination is to see his son. She needs the fashionista to do her a great favor. Perhaps it has to do with a wedding? Will she soon be wearing Danny's last name as well? She is wearing his ring. The week of August 11th to 15th is primed to explode across the daytime landscape, with every show cranking up the heat to dangerous levels where alliances will splinter, passions will ignite, and secrets will come tearing into the open with devastating consequences, starting beyond the gates, where Nicole takes a shocking step that rattles the ground beneath both her and Ted, a move so unexpected that it leaves him pacing in frustration, torn between loyalty and the gut-deep fear that she's on the verge of detonating their future. Ted's not a man easily shaken, but Nicole's sudden boldness, some might call it recklessness, has him questioning everything, and the more he tries to rein her in, the more she seems determined to prove she's in control of her own destiny, even if it means dragging them both into a storm they may not survive. Meanwhile, Eva reaches the absolute limit of her tolerance for her mother's constant manipulation, because Leslie, the unapologetic queen of scheme, has burned one bridge too many, and Eva's no longer content to play the dutiful daughter cleaning up the wreckage this week. Expect a no-holds-barred mother-daughter showdown where the gloves come off, tempers flare, and decades of resentment pour out in a volcanic eruption that could redefine their relationship forever. Because when Eva says she's done, she means it. Over on the Bold and the Beautiful, Ridge may think he's locked in his path, but Brooke is about to face a temptation that could Rewrite every choice she's made since returning to him. As Nick steps back into her orbit with a sparkling diamond and a promise of dreams fulfilled, stirring memories of passion and stability that Ridge's love has never quite replicated. Leaving Brooke torn between burning the bridge or crossing it one more time, this decision could set the tone for the rest of her life. At the same time, Grace is about to find out what it means when Bill Spencer decides someone has crossed the line with him. Because if she thought enduring Liam and Hope's wrath was harsh, she's in for a rude awakening when Dollar Bill explodes, unleashing a verbal firestorm so intense it could leave Grace scorched beyond recognition, regretting not only her latest move but the very day she decided to meddle in his family's affairs. Days of Our Lives delivers its own jaw-dropper when EJ chooses Gwen. Yes, Gwen as the recipient of a tantalizingly dangerous secret, a decision that makes zero sense on the surface but hints at a deeper play, and whatever he reveals will have ripple effects that send shockwaves through Salem, especially once Gwen decides how to use it. Meanwhile, Rachel is spiraling further out of control, leaving Kristen and Brady in a panic, because their daughter's bratty, manipulative antics have crossed into outright dangerous territory, and if they don't step in now, Rachel's going to become a force they can no longer rein in. Of course, given that she's Kristen's child, maybe this path was inevitable. Over on General Hospital, the action shifts to the 5 Poppies, where Britt has been hiding in plain sight despite being presumed dead. A feat that's taken every ounce of cunning she has, but the game is up, her cover is blown, and now she's scrambling to navigate the most perilous situation of her life, a deadly mix of enemies and unfinished business that could cost her everything. Back in Port Charles, Stella takes on the role of wise counsel, offering Trina heartfelt guidance about embracing the love and stability Kai offers, warning her not to let past pain dictate her future, a nudge that could steer Trina toward a turning point in both her personal life and her healing journey. The Young and the Restless weaves into the week's high drama, with Chelsea finding herself on the receiving end of Adam's fury when he learns she's aligning herself with Billy, his enemy, and no amount of rationalizing her loyalty to old friends will soothe Adam's bruised ego. Because for him, betrayal is betrayal, and he's not about to let it slide without a fight. Also in Genoa City, Christine and Danny make a grand return, with Danny heading straight to reunite with his son while Christine seeks out Lauren for a mysterious favor, one that may be tied to the engagement ring gleaming on her finger, because if Christine has her way, she won't just be wearing Danny's ring for long, she'll be wearing his last name, setting the stage for what could be the next big Genoa City wedding. As the week unfolds across all these worlds, the common thread is clear: every character is balancing on the knife's edge of desire and disaster, where a single confession, a single kiss, or a single moment of hesitation could change everything. And for viewers, the promise is tantalizing. 5 days of unrelenting drama, where passion fuels ambition, lies pave the road to power, and every whispered secret threatens to explode into the open, leaving lives and hearts shattered in the fallout. If the week of August 11th to 15th is the spark, then the days that follow are the wildfire, because every shocking move, whispered confession, and reckless gamble will ripple outward in ways no one sees coming, leaving the towns and cities of each soap permanently altered. Beyond the Gates picks up in the immediate aftermath of Nicole's shocking maneuver, and Ted is reeling, his trust in her fractured, his instincts screaming that the path she's chosen will draw enemies from the shadows, enemies he may not be able to fend off this time. Nicole, however, refuses to back down, convinced that she's finally seizing control of her life instead of playing by someone else's rules. But the cracks in their partnership begin to show when Ted starts keeping his own counsel, making moves without her knowledge to mitigate the damage, a betrayal that could push her to retaliate in kind. Meanwhile, Eva's declaration that she's done cleaning up Leslie's messes turns into more than just a heated confrontation. It becomes a seismic family shift, with Eva moving to cut her mother off from resources, allies, and the protective cover she's enjoyed for years, leaving Leslie scrambling to secure her position, even if it means recruiting dangerous new partners who might push her into even darker schemes. Over on The Bold and the Beautiful, Brooke finds herself caught in a whirlwind of memories and conflicting emotions after Nick's unexpected proposal, the diamond glittering in front of her, like a tangible what-if that could erase years of turbulence with Ridge. But Ridge, sensing a shift, becomes defensive and increasingly possessive, setting the stage for an epic confrontation that could play out in front of the entire Forrester family, shattering the illusion of unity they've tried to maintain. Grace, still scorched from her showdown with Dollar Bill Spencer, doubles down instead of backing off, convinced that Bill is bluffing about the lengths he'll go to protect his loved ones, but Grace may have underestimated just how ruthless Bill can be when provoked. And the week's end finds her boxed into a corner, forced to choose between public humiliation or agreeing to terms that will bind her to Bill's will for months to come. Days of Our Lives wastes no time twisting the knife in Salem, as Gwen decides to test the power of the secret EJ entrusted to her, leaking a piece of it in a way that draws immediate attention but still leaves her holding the most explosive part, a calculated move that brings her leverage and enemies in equal measure. EJ, for his part, finds himself under scrutiny from allies who can't understand why he would risk everything by confiding in Gwen, and he may have to resort to even riskier tactics to keep the lid on what's left of the secret. Rachel pushes Kristen and Brady to their breaking points with a series of rebellious stunts, each more brazen than the last, culminating in an act that forces them to publicly acknowledge just how bad things have gotten. A humiliating admission for both parents that could open the door for outside intervention, and possibly a custody battle. General Hospital raises the stakes at the 5 Poppies as Britt fights to regain control of the situation after her exposure, but the danger is closing in fast, with old enemies scenting blood in the water and new threats emerging from unexpected corners, forcing Britt to consider whether she should return to Port Charles and face the chaos she left behind or disappear for good. In Port Charles, Stella's advice to Trina plants seeds of hope, but those seeds may be trampled when an unexpected rival for Kai's affection appears, sparking a subtle but tense love triangle that could undo all of Trina's progress. Back in Genoa City, Adam's fury at Chelsea doesn't fade, it festers, morphing into a vendetta that threatens to pull others into its orbit, including Billy, who refuses to let Adam dictate who Chelsea can or cannot befriend, leading to a series of strategic countermoves that could upend both Newman and Abbott family alliances. Christine and Danny's return quickly snowballs into more than a romantic reunion, as Christine's request of Lauren sparks speculation throughout the city about a wedding that could serve as both a joyous occasion and a powder keg, depending on which uninvited guests decide to crash it. And as all these stories march toward their next crescendos, the connective tissue between them is pure soap gold, the blending of passion and power, of love twisted by ambition, of family ties strained by betrayal, and of secrets that, once spoken aloud, can never be taken back. August 18th to 22nd promises to turn the emotional carnage of the previous week into full-scale war zones across each canvas, as every character grapples with the same truth: when you live in a world built on lies and desire, there is no such thing as a clean win, only the survival of whoever is willing to play the dirtiest and love the hardest. Phyllis Summer's game in Genoa City had always been led a cocktail of charm, manipulation, quick thinking, and a dangerous knack for putting herself exactly where the power flowed. That's why her alliance with Kane Ashby, on the surface, looked like a match made in schemer heaven. Kane was ambitious, ruthless when cornered, and entirely willing to cut throats, figuratively, and perhaps in Phyllis' private suspicion, almost literally, to climb the ladder. But from the moment she shook his hand and sealed their mutual domination pact, a part of her brain had already begun calculating her exit strategy. Kane's problem, though, was that he thought he could out-Phyllis. That was his first mistake. He underestimated the woman who had taken on Jack Abbott, Victor Newman, Tucker McCall, and even her own children when she felt her back was to the wall. Kane saw Phyllis as an opportunist he could control, but he failed to see she was already weighing which side of the fence would be more profitable to sit on when the shooting started. And lately, the winds in Genoa City had begun to shift. Jack Abbott had been circling Kane's growing empire like a hawk. Every time Phyllis met Jack's eyes at Society or Crimson Lights, there was this unspoken conversation between them. She knew Jack suspected she was in the middle of Kane's game. She also knew Jack still carried that frustrating mixture of affection and wariness toward her, the kind of emotional currency Phyllis could spend if she chose to pivot toward Team Abbott. Jack didn't trust her, but he never quite stopped believing in her potential to do the right thing when it suited her. But then there was Nick. Sweet, stubborn, maddeningly moral Nick. Every interaction with him reminded her that as much as she enjoyed dangerous games, she hated watching him get caught in the crossfire of one. He didn't deserve the kind of war. Kane was gearing up to start a war that wouldn't just scorch Jabbo, but could easily burn Newman Enterprises and every member of the family connected to it. Nick's subtle attempts to check in with her were getting harder to brush off. He'd drop in at the Grand Phoenix, order coffee, and ask questions in that disarming way of his. "You're not getting in over your head with Kane, are you, Phyllis?" He'd smile, but his eyes carried a sharp edge. "Because if you are, you know I'd hate to watch you crash this time." The problem for Phyllis was that she couldn't entirely deny it. Kane's plans were escalating. His latest move involved leveraging intel on a pending merger that could crush Jabo's stock value in one strategic strike. He had already lined up Victor Newman as an unwitting weapon in the attack, dangling promises of Jabo's destruction and painting himself as a loyal ally. But Phyllis knew better. Kane wasn't loyal to anyone but Kane. That's when the real question started gnawing at her. Was she going to be collateral damage when Kane's empire collapsed, or would she switch sides before the ground gave way? Her instincts told her that siding with Jack could mean protection and maybe even redemption in the Abbott family's eyes. But siding with Nick? That wasn't just about safety. That was about loyalty, about something she couldn't quantify with money or leverage. And Nick, whether he admitted it or not, still trusted some small part of her to make the right move. Victor's role complicated everything further. Phyllis had dealt with the man enough to know that once he sensed betrayal, his wrath was absolute. If she stayed with Kane and things blew up, Victor might lump her in with the enemy and bury her without a second thought. But if she jumped ship at the right time and brought Victor valuable intel, she could buy herself a seat at the Newman table and perhaps even secure a leadership position in some shell company Victor wanted to weaponize against Jabo. Meanwhile, Kane kept tightening the noose. He'd started sending her confidential updates that read more like veiled threats. "If you're really with me, Red, I'll need you to handle a small obstacle," he'd said one night over bourbon at the Phoenix bar. "Jack's been poking around. Maybe it's time we feed him something to throw him off the trail." Phyllis had smiled, nodded, and pretended to agree. But inside, her decision was crystallizing. She wasn't going to let Kane turn her into his personal pawn. Not again. She'd played the loyal partner role before, and every time, it had ended with her cleaning up someone else's mess while they walked away with the spoils. The only question now was when to make her move and which direction to leap. Jack had the sentimental pull. They'd shared history, heartbreak, and moments where the walls between them dropped entirely. A move to help Jack could also restore her standing in Genoa City's corporate and social circles. She could frame it as a noble decision, a defense of the Abbott family business against an outsider's hostile takeover. But Nick? Choosing him meant choosing heart over strategy. It meant risking Victor's unpredictable mood swings, because siding with Nick didn't automatically mean siding with Victor. Still, it might be the only way to protect Summer and maybe even Daniel from being caught in Kane's warpath. And deep down, she knew Nick would never leave her to twist in the wind once she committed to helping him. Phyllis' phone buzzed just then, a message from Kane. "Time to prove where you stand. Meet me in my suite. Urgent." She stared at the screen for a long moment before slipping the phone into her bag. This was it. Whatever Kane wanted from her tonight could very well be the turning point. If he crossed one more line, she might just hand him to Jack or Nick on a silver platter.